Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the program. I am your host, Joe Muzydla. It is good to be with you as I record this 12/8/2019. Oh, my goodness. I was going to do a different recording tonight and do arc building, but just a lot on my mind, a lot on my heart. And I wanted to kind of talk about some different things, and so I thought, I'll do something a little different on this show, and this might turn into something more here. Maybe kicking around in my mind today of doing a weekly broadcast or show just on the weather systems, because this is something I know I've talked a lot about, but it's something that we can watch, that we actually have a record of, that things are actually kind of going strange and going awry. And some recent events, at least where I live, and then we can look at some other, globally, it looks like everyone is being affected by these events. The other thing is here on this particular platform, on A Cup with Joe, still in the setting up the date with Save the Storks. So I'm hoping that will be this week. So could definitely use your prayers on that again. We're just scheduling wise, it's always difficult. The individual I've been talking with, I know that she is very, very busy. Seems like she's been literally all over the globe. So I do appreciate her just trying to make time for me, and I really, really, I'm really excited, and I really want to get this to happen. So your prayers are definitely appreciated, and I think it will definitely happen. It's just, I guess I just got to take a deep breath and be patient, which is maybe not always my strong suit, especially when I'm so close and so excited to actually getting them on. I've been talking about them for so long, and I've been wanting to have them come on and talk about this mission field, this organization themselves. They can do it'd just be exciting and be such a blessing and an honor to do so. The other one coming up here is also in the same thing, in the mix for scheduling. Such a thing to work out. But anyways, another individual, a friend of mine that I've known for quite some time, and her ministry is women's self-defense. And so with everything going on with, I know there was a recent video that I think probably got posted worldwide, at least not, if not, then at least the United States, was a gentleman trying to kidnap a woman's daughter in broad daylight, a teenage girl. But this seems to be becoming a epidemic of just the abductions of just about anybody. It seems that nobody is quite safe at this point in time, especially the younger crowd. So I wanted to get her on to talk about what we can do to prepare ourselves and defense. Really, her main thing is I sat through one of her classes, which was amazing. She does an excellent job of doing these classes, but it's really about awareness and just being aware of your situations and training yourself, just like you would with CPR. So it's almost second nature, that you just know what to do, and it can be as prepared as humanly possible for unspeakable situations. So with that, I think that's a good segue, talking about unspeakable situations. But I did, since I was going to have Sean Muzydla on, my twin brother, on for arc building, I thought, I'll have him come on this one instead, since we scheduled this and set it up, and didn't want to waste that time and waste his time, and still just talk about some different things, and maybe just take a deep breath and just kind of, I guess, maybe get a perspective on where we're at. as things kind of seem kind of nutty in the world right now. So, with that, Sean, welcome to the program.
I am unmuted, and here I am, and so grateful to be here. I had a blast with you on the ARC building, so as usual, I'm sure this will be fun and educational for me as well.
All right. Recently, in Sean and I both reside in colorful Colorado. He lives way further north than me, and a little more of the western side, I guess. Well, almost smack dab in the middle and north of me. I'm more on the, I guess, the eastern plains, as they call it. So it's strange, the weather phenomenons that we've been having, and let me give you the example. I think it was Tuesday. The forecast came out that Thursday this is of last week, that we are going to have rain in Colorado in the middle of, well, almost the middle of December. At least in December, we're going to have rain. Now, we still have snow on the ground from the last snowstorm, or the last few snowstorms, I should say. The cold fronts have just been one right after the other. Not subarctic, but still cold enough. And especially, for those of us that have to work outside, you definitely notice from this year to last year, there's a dramatic difference. I remember, I think even last year around this time, it was 40s and 50s at some times, which if they would have said rain, I would have been still surprised, but it would have made sense. But we've been in the 20s and 30s, and it was just warm enough for it to rain. I think it around 36, 37 degrees that day. And then the temperature fell, and then it went to snow later in the afternoon as the temperature fell. So that was the weirdest part, was in the morning it was warm enough around, I believe, 10 a.m. At least that's when I noticed. One of the gentlemen that I worked with came inside the building, and I had to go out and see it for myself. He said, yeah, it's raining. Now, when I saw the forecast, I actually laughed. I literally laughed, because I thought that's not going to happen. It might rain somewhere, but not where I'm at. Now, in my location at the altitude, I'm at 4,600 feet. And where it was raining was mine, as well as clear into Denver, which is at 5,700 feet. Now, I don't know about Colorado Springs, which is a little bit higher at 6,000 feet, but it seemed above 6,000 feet, 7,000 feet, it was snowing, but everywhere else it was raining. Humidity was high. Now, after that, the rain stopped about when they said it would, or the snow. It went from rain to snow, and then I think about 6 o'clock, maybe before that. Maybe before that it stopped. The precipitation altogether stopped, and then the fog rolled in about, I think it was about 9 p.m. Thursday night, and the fog did not lift until Friday at 9 p.m., which I had never seen. I'm used to some foggy nights. Usually after twilight. After midnight, you start seeing it around 1 p.m. or 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and you'll start seeing it, and then 3 a.m., and then sometime around maybe 9 o'clock, even as late as 10 o'clock, the fog will then lift. As the sun rises and warms everything, and then the fog lift. It never lifted. We were at I'm trying to think of the temperature, right around 30 some degrees, and then we had oh goodness, I think it was like 34 degrees for the day, maybe 36 at the high. Fog stayed, and it was then 9 p.m. that night that it finally lifted. But we were at 97% humidity, which is strange for this altitude because we're high plains desert. It's normally, the winters are normally cold and dry. Normally you have, cracked hands, your lips are chapped, nasal passages can crack, anything exposed to that cold, dry air, it just dries it right out, sucks the moisture right out of you. God forbid you're riding a motorcycle, but, which I have had a couple friends over the years that have done that. But anyways, very strange. So, Sean, what would you add to that?
Um, yeah, it has been odd. It's been quite different for Colorado. We normally have a little bit of what you would consider in the extremes of weather and such like that, of, I don't know, cold and blowing and stuff like that. That's normal. We have Our winters have been a little bit off for the last few years, and but I would have to say the winds and the humidity level in Colorado has definitely been different, and it almost feels tropical in some senses of just that, I don't know, kind of a wet breeze, even in the summer and in the spring, and then sometimes in the winter, and then when we did have um, it kind of rained and kind of sleeted. We didn't on the west end where I'm up against the foothills here. We didn't have the fog last quite that long as you guys did out in the plains. It did clear out. I'm going to say in the normal time, like about around 9 or 10. But as you headed out east, it just hung in there. But yeah, just extremely high humidity levels for Colorado. Normally, we'll only have high humidity levels um, with a storm, and it's got to be a doozy of a storm. And then after that, it drops out, like Joe was saying, and just stays fairly dry. Um, yeah, it's been different. The last couple of years, especially, have been quite a bit more moisture in just, I guess, humidity levels. And I don't know if you've noticed this one, Joe, but I have on my phone it tells me what the barometer is, and as I'm looking at the weather, and the barometer never changes on my phone, even when we have a low pressure system that comes through. This last blizzard that we had just a week ago. Normally, you get a huge storm like that, you'll your joints hurt and stuff because the pressure dropped. Well, my phone was still reading 29.9. That's pretty much impossible. So I don't know, a kind of little conspiracy theory there. Are they not allowing us to know what the actual barometer is? Or is it just not updating quick enough? I don't know. But
Well, and that's the thing too is, you almost have to have, like I have NOAA, I have, I have a whole bunch of different ones that I look at, and you almost have to just to keep track of what what's actually going on. I was talking to my wife about that. Like, she uses a different one than I do, and it's for the purpose. I kind of like that we do that just because we compare. I mean, sometimes it's drastically different. The forecast from what mine is